Hello, welcome, or welcome back. Please come in, have a seat. We're about to begin a new strange tale. Warning. The Ember Ink Studios are not responsible for ruining your childhood. Proceed with caution. The earliest fairy tales were never meant to be simple bedtime stories. Many of them were strange, unsettling tales about betrayal, deception, and justice. Tonight's story is one of the most unusual ever collected from European folklore. It is a story about a princess whose identity is stolen, a loyal horse who continues to speak even after death, and the strange way truth eventually finds its way into the light. Long before fairy tales were softened for children, these stories were darker. They were tales of betrayal, revenge, strange magic, and sometimes terrible justice. In the early 1800s, the Brothers Grimm traveled across Germany, collecting these stories from villagers, travelers, and storytellers. What they preserved were not the gentle bedtime stories we know today. They were the original versions, forgotten, unsettling, and sometimes shocking. Welcome to the dark origins of fairy tales, the versions they never told you. What is a fairy tale? Long before fairy tales appeared in books, they existed as stories told aloud across Europe. They were shared beside fireplaces, in village taverns, and among families at the end of long days of work. Some of these stories were warnings, others were riddles, and some were strange tales of magic, betrayal, and hidden identity. In the early 19th century, the Brothers Grimm traveled through Germany, gathering these old stories. They recorded them as they were told, strange details and all. And few tales are stranger than the story of the Goose Girl. Fairy tale fact. Many fairy tales include what folklorists call truth-revealing magic. This means that even when a villain hides their crime, something supernatural eventually exposes the truth. In the story of the Goose Girl, that role is played by a horse named Falada. Even after death, Falada's head continues to speak, revealing what really happened to the princess. Series 2, Episode 6, The Goose Girl. Long ago, a queen prepared her daughter for a journey to a distant kingdom. The princess was to travel there and marry a prince she had never met. The queen packed jewels, gold, and fine clothing for the journey. She also sent along a waiting maid to accompany the princess. Before leaving, the queen placed a small charm around her daughter's neck. Inside the charm were drops of the queen's own blood. "This will protect you," the queen said. The princess also rode her beloved horse, Falada. The journey was long, and soon the maid began to grow resentful of her mistress. One day, while traveling through a lonely place, the princess became thirsty. She asked the maid to fetch water from a nearby stream. The maid refused. "If you want water," she said coldly, "you can fetch it yourself." As the princess bent to drink from the stream, the charm around her neck slipped off and fell into the water. Without its protection, the princess was suddenly vulnerable. The maid seized her chance. She forced the princess to exchange clothes with her. Then she threatened to kill her if she ever revealed the truth. When they finally arrived at the prince's kingdom, the maid presented herself as the princess. And the real princess was forced into silence. Instead of becoming a bride, she was given a humble job tending geese. And so the true princess became known as the Goose Girl. The false princess ordered something else as well. She demanded that the horse, Falada, be killed. She feared the horse might reveal the truth. The king agreed, but the goose girl secretly asked the stable boy to hang Falada's head on the city gate. Every morning she passed beneath the gate while driving the geese to pasture, and each morning she whispered, "Falada, there you hang." To which the horse's head replied, "If your mother knew what had been done to you, her heart would surely break in two." The boy who tended the geese overheard this strange conversation. He reported it to the old king. The king began to suspect something was wrong. So one day he hid behind the gate and watched. Again the goose girl spoke to the horse's head. Again the horse replied. The king realized that a terrible deception had taken place. He questioned the goose girl, but she was afraid to accuse the false princess. Finally the king told her to speak her troubles to the iron stove in the courtyard. Believing no one could hear her, the goose girl told the entire story. But the king was listening. The truth had finally been revealed. The false princess was confronted, and according to the harsh justice of the old tales, she was punished for her betrayal. The real princess was restored to her rightful place, and at last she married the prince she had been promised. Please don't leave yet. We have another strange, dark tale for you to enjoy. The White Bride and the Black One. In another grim tale, a beautiful young woman known as the White Bride set out on a journey to meet the prince she was destined to marry. Traveling with her was a jealous servant. During the journey, the servant attacked the young woman and stole her fine clothing. She then presented herself to the prince as the bride. The true bride was forced to remain silent and live in disguise. For a time, the deception succeeded, but as often happens in the old fairy tales, the truth eventually began to reveal itself. Strange events and whispers of doubt slowly uncovered the servant's betrayal. When the prince finally discovered the truth, the false bride faced a terrible punishment for her crime, and the rightful bride was restored to her place. Many fairy tales tell us that truth has a strange way of surviving. It may be hidden, it may be buried, but sooner or later, something reveals it. Sometimes it is a whisper, sometimes it is a witness, and sometimes it is the voice of a horse speaking from beyond the grave. In the next episode of The Dark Origins of Fairy Tales, we explore the grim story of the Devil's Sooty Brother. A tale involving many of the old fairy tales remind us of something simple. Be careful what bargains you make, whether with kings, with strangers, or with the devil himself. If you think you know this story, you might be surprised by what the original version contains. The Ember Ink Studios would like to thank you for listening to this episode. If there is a dark, grim tale you would like to hear explored in a future episode, please leave a comment below. And if you enjoyed this story, consider subscribing, turning on notifications, and giving the video a like. That way you'll never miss the next journey into the darker side of folklore. Until next time, remember, the stories we grew up with are rarely the ones that were first told.